Hey everybody, Max Parker here in Los Angeles for E3. We just got out of the Sony PlayStation press conference and it was a huge lineup of games and surprises from God of War to a new Resident Evil, but the big talk was PlayStation VR, which is just on the horizon, and I got to play a bunch of games for it and got to experience it firsthand to see what kind of virtual reality experience this is going to be. So let me start off by talking about the build quality of PlayStation VR. I've tried the Vive, the HTC Vive. I've also tried the Oculus Rift, and the PlayStation VR build quality is really solid. This thing is easy to adjust. It snaps right on your head. There's rubber that goes around your eyes that is easy to clean. It just feels solid and it feels like a great consumer product, just talking about build quality alone. It doesn't quite have the resolution quality compared to the HTC Vive or the Oculus, but it's still a great first attempt, and it's great for the price that it's being offered. The device is $400, but that doesn't get you everything you need to use it. That doesn't include the camera, the PlayStation camera, and it also does not include 2 PlayStation Move remotes. And those are actually going to be used for a lot of PlayStation VR experiences. You're going to need those. And also, it doesn't include the pack-in, the PlayStation VR Worlds, which is a game that has a bunch of different VR experiences packed into it. So basically, you're going to have to shell out the $500 for the entire PlayStation VR experience. That will get you everything you need, plus the game, PlayStation VR Worlds. And next up are the games, and those really vary in quality and whether or not they're a full game experience, a $60 experience, or if they're just a collection of mini games. I mean, we saw a lot of demos during that press conference. We saw Batman Arkham VR, we saw Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which can be played on VR and with just a normal controller out of VR, but I'll get to Resident Evil later. And then there are games like Rez, and there's another first-person shooter called Farpoint. There's just a lot of games that are going to hit the market. They've already said there's going to be 50 between its October release and the end of the year, so that's a lot of VR content. I got my hands on a lot of the PlayStation VR experiences, and let me start with Arkham VR. Arkham VR is it's not Arkham City, it's not Arkham Asylum with VR. It's a collection of Batman Arkham related mini games. And so first off, there were 2 demos in the game. One starts you out in Wayne Manor, you talk to Alfred, you're looking around, you can explore Wayne Manor, basically this room in Wayne Manor. You play the piano, you go down to the Batcave, you ride an elevator, you put on the suit, put on the gauntlets, put on the cowl, and throw batarangs. Like, it's just a really cool experience. I couldn't get a smile off my face. It was just a great, fun experience. The second one is related to the Arkham games. Remember those moments in the Arkham games where you'd have to scan an environment or a crime scene to figure out what happened? Well, you see Nightwing and he's been murdered, and you have to rewind and fast forward the crime scene to see what exactly happened. And the fight is happening around you. You're Batman in first person with the VR headset on. You're looking around, you're rewinding this crime scene. The fight with Nightwing and this stranger is happening all around you, and you're fast forwarding it and rewinding it. It's a lot of fun. It's really immersive, and you feel like you're in some Gotham City back alley watching this fight unfold. It's just a cool experience, and anyone who loves Batman or the Arkham series is going to love Batman Arkham VR. It's probably the best game I played at the event. But they all weren't great experiences. I'll get into one called Rigs. Rigs was also shown last year at PlayStation's E3 event, and this is the arena mech shooter that they're going kind of like an esports route. See if esports and VR can have this relationship. Well, arena shooters are fast, and if you put fast-moving stuff in a VR headset, me speaking personally, I got extremely sick. I couldn't handle it. I played half of a match. It got to halftime, and then I was like, I can't take this anymore. It was too much, so much fast-moving. I was in a flying mech. It was all over the place, and I couldn't take it, couldn't handle it. So that's Rigs. I don't know if everybody's going to experience that, but that's what happened with me, and that's really the problem with VR. If you put it in a game with a lot of fast movement and you're not physically moving, it's probably going to make you ill. I also got to check out Worlds. That's the pack-in for the $500 package. And it really impressed me. It's a series of mini games that shows off the power and what can really be done with PlayStation VR. It's kind of a bunch of tech demos, but they're really polished, and it's actually more game than it sounds. So there's a cool breakout. It's basically like Pong, three-dimensional Pong, and your head controls the paddle. So the ball's bouncing back and forth and you're looking at the ball. And that's a cool, just neat mini game. I asked if there was online play, but they would not really tell me any information about it. So I just got to play a computer, but even that was fun. But there's another game that they demoed in that package that was like Metroid Prime. It's 7 chapters. They boasted that it's about 4 to 5 hours with all 7 chapters. I played through 2 chapters, and you're this mech out in space, and you're hovering around, you're exploring different areas, you get attacked by bugs, and you're controlling the mech, shooting these bugs. It was a really cool VR experience, especially for a game that's just packed in already. This looks like it could be PlayStation VR's version of Wii Sports. Wii Sports was the pack-in for the original Wii, and everybody really loved Wii Sports. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard probably got one of the biggest ovations at Sony's press conference, and it's the return to form for the Resident Evil franchise. They're taking it back to survival horror, but they're changing it up a lot. I got to interview one of Capcom's brand managers for Resident Evil 7, and he got to tell me a little bit more information on the game. So I'm going to throw it over to the interview I conducted with him. I'm here with Mike Lunn, brand manager for Capcom, to talk about Resident Evil 7.
Yes.
It received one of the biggest outcries, cheers from the audience tonight.
Nice.
So what can you tell us about Resident Evil 7 that we didn't see in the trailer?
So the stuff that you saw in the press conference itself, we actually have a separate trailer online now that has a little bit more. There's a lot of stuff in there. I advise after you watch it the first time, maybe go back and check out it again. There's a lot of nuggets in there, hinting at stuff that we're going to be talking about later. But on the whole, the major story is Resident Evil is going back to survival horror. But it's not. We're not looking into sort of a reboot. This is our 20th anniversary this year. We're taking what sort of built the franchise over the past 20 years and elaborating on it. We're doing things for the first time like first-person perspective, really cool stuff with PlayStation VR, so we're really pulling the player and putting him in the character's shoes to make it a super, super scary survival horror experience.
So the entire game is in first-person view?
Whether you want to have, so in first-person and then also playable via PSVR. So if you like playing in VR, that's great. If you don't want to play it there, that's also available for you.
Do we know who the main character is? Is it someone we've seen before?
Not just yet. So I can confirm that it's not going to be like Leon. It's not going to be Jill. It's not going to be an Ari hero. Basically, what we're going to be doing, he will have a name, but we want to make sure that people understand that this is a regular guy. This is a working man. He's not a super cop. He's not a police officer. He's not an agent. He's like you and me, and that's part of the reason why we wanted to do it, is to make the player feel like they're in the mansion. That could be them, and that just makes the horror a lot more elaborate. It makes it more believable and really pulls you in.
Does this take place in an existing Resident Evil timeline? Where in that timeline is it?
So at the end of the timeline, this is actually after RE6. This is in the same world as Raccoon City, the same world as the BSAA, all that other stuff. It is a separate story, though. But it is in modern rural America after RE6.
And the entire game can be played in VR or out of VR.
Correct? If you want to jump in, you can start the game. If you don't like the VR parts, you can turn it off. We really give you that choice. It's up to you.
So you can switch on the fly? Is that?
So you can switch. You may have to reset the game or stuff like that, depending on how the hardware works. But you don't have to. It's not like you'll be playing stuck in one mode. So
does it require, or is it compatible with the Move controllers? Does it need them? Can you play without them?
Right now, it's only going to be the DualShock controller. Whether you're using the VR or whether you're not, we want to make sure it's a familiar experience. So it's not jumping from a whole completely different control set. The control set will be the same whether you have the headset on or whether you're not. So.
And this is a full-fledged Resident Evil game, so we're talking 15, 20 hours plus of game.
We're not cutting any corners because this is a VR title. This is a full AAA numbered Resident Evil experience, so you can expect that for sure.
And when can we expect it?
January 24th, 2017.
Great. Thanks a lot for taking the time. It looks great. Be sure to keep it tuned to PostGazette.com for all the latest E3 news. The event is happening all week long. This is just the beginning, so be sure to check out PostGazette.com for all the latest video game coverage. Thanks a lot for watching.